Let me now welcome on board Romal Shetty, CEO South Asia at Deloitte. Romal, thank you so much for speaking with us. I firstly wanted to understand what's the thought process behind the Think Sports report.
Sports is one of the most passionate things in the country. Everybody follows sports and everybody has an opinion on sports. But to be honest, there hasn't been a real study done where capturing the views of all stakeholders, whether it's the government, whether it's the coaches, the athletes, the corporates, performance functions, and also importantly, working with somebody like Google to also understand both the impact of technology on sports as well as the behavior and preferences of consumers, through technology. So I think that was this was really a piece of work where we wanted to bring in various facets of Indian sports industry and also give recommendations on what needs to improve and what is also going really well.
Romal, tell me, how have leading thinkers, sports personalities, athletes, all of them contributed to this report?
Everybody has, I think the most important thing, has given their time, has given the challenges that they have faced. They've talked about some of the solutions that they actually think can actually work. So it's really a combination of spending hours and hours, both of our own research, Google's, for example, like I said, in terms of insights of what they see in consumers, as well as all of these, not just the athletes, but also the ecosystem, whether it's federations, the sports policy, regulations, all of that.
Right. So, Romal, what's the finding? What is it that India can do and should be doing for the future of sports?
Yeah, I mean, there are a few things which are very interesting about the report. I mean, India has today a 655 million fan base, while of course, we clearly know that cricket is clearly on top with 400 million plus. But it's interesting to note that actually Kabaddi has 100 million plus. Hockey and football have close to 80 million, and you have Kho-Kho, which is coming to 60, 70 million. So one is really a significant base. The second bit was a very interesting insight for all of us, was that 36% of fans are women. Now this is not something that is, at least on the face of it, most of our research, we were not aware of this particular issue. And this is actually a positive thing for the country. The other bit is 43% of that 655 million is actually Gen Z. Now Gen Z, very important, because Gen Z is consuming digital content. Gen Z is also spending more money on sports, and Gen Z is also more sports aware compared to the previous generation. And the last one insight was that 59% of fans again were rural. So it was not limited to only urban. It was not only limited to cricket. So I think that is one part of the report in terms of just the insights that it is giving or where the country is heading. The second part is really to talk about where are some of the key challenges in terms of, whether it is in terms of the sports policy, for example, whether it is in terms of the infrastructure that we actually have, whether it's for the athletes, whether it is for the coaches, whether it's in school level, things like that. And then, of course, how do you maintain, how does private and public partnership come into various facets to manage some of these challenges? So those are different aspects which the report covers. Yeah, so, clearly we believe that the more commercial sports becomes, the sport actually gains. So if you take a classic case of IPL, when the commercialization of IPL actually started happening, right, everybody had a particular view on commercial, but you see today the kind of players that are coming, not just from the cities, but they're coming from all parts of the country. And today I think India can have Team A, Team B, Team C, Team D to host at any of the World Cup games. So that was one part. The second part is things like tourism, for example. When we did the ODI World Cup, over $1 billion of sports tourism got generated. So clearly, from a business perspective, it means that if they have their strategies aligned to sports, that helps them. And when business also participates in sports, the sports itself improves. And to give one specific aspect of business, I think we've got a lot of commercial enterprises that are doing at an elite level sports, but I think the ask now is that can people start sponsoring when they're 7 or 8 years old and not when they're 15 or 16? So you identify talent much early and help them from grassroots to elite sports, right? So that's really what we've seen in the report.
Let me now welcome on board Roma Datta Chobey, the MD at Google India. Roma, thank you so much for taking the time out and speaking with us today. Roma, I firstly wanted to understand what are the key insights from the Think Sports report?
So let me talk to you about 3 key insights which really underscores the immense potential that sports as an industry has for India. So the first key insight is really how we expect the sports industry to rapidly grow in the coming years. So the report projects sports as an industry to be a 130 billion sector by 2030, growing at a CAGR of 14%, which is almost double of the GDP growth rates right now. The second insight that I found tremendously powerful is around fandom and fan base in India. We of course have a really passionate fan base in India, which stands at 655 million strong. But what's even interesting is the composition of this fan base. I was really impressed to see women participation up to 36% currently. I'm sure it will go up even further in coming years. Gen Z, this was not a surprise, 43% of the overall fan base, and almost 59% of the fan base comes from rural audiences. So that's really the second powerful insight. What's also interesting in this space is how fans are now looking at sports even beyond cricket. So cricket obviously has a very iconic status in India. We all love cricket. However, this report talks about how today, and especially the younger generation, is going towards multi-sports. There's this whole culture of multi-sports, people following more than one sport. And we are really seeing traction in sports like kabaddi, kho-kho, hockey, football, esports, and so much more. Another interesting insight as a part of the fandom and the fan base is 90% of this fan base is consuming sports through digital media. So that's an interesting one. And the third insight that I can talk to you about is really, which is something that's close to my heart, and that's the role of technology in sports and how sports technology as a sector is emerging. So sports technology as a subsector of the overall sports is poised to grow to about a 1 billion industry by 2030. There are really interesting B2B, B2C formats coming in this space across, activity tracking, performance tracking, so on and so forth. Also, we really believe, and the report speaks to that, digital solutions can help bridge the gap when it comes to, sports education and sports coaching. So how, athletes across different sports come to YouTube, watch videos, sharpen their skills, and really technology playing an immense role in many ways in improving the experience of athletes, fans, marketers, and so on and so forth. And of course, AI will also be playing its role. In fact, has started playing a role when it comes to sports.
Right. Roma, what I also wanted to understand was what are the key takeaways that brands can leverage on and opportunities for them?
So there's lots that the brands can take away from this report. I think when we talk about the fans and the fandom, that's a huge cohort of consumers for different brands, and how they connect with these consumers will be key. So as I said, a large portion of this fan base is Gen Z. So having a very strong digital strategy to address and meet these young population will be really key. Understanding the shifting consumer patterns in this space will be key for brands and organizations to solve for these consumers. And of course, local languages and things like that, because as I said, large portion of these fans are also from rural tier 2, tier 3 cities. So encouraging or working with local sports, local languages will be very, very important.
Right. Roma, so what was the key insight from the report that you were most excited about?
I have to say that as a woman, the insight on women participation, and also today through the event, the conversations with the women athletes, Manu, Deepa, Malik, was really, really inspiring for me. It's great to see the representation both in terms of people who are watching, spectators and fans, but also athletes.
Have to ask you, Roma, what are the sports that you are personally passionate about and love?
Also, there's not one sports, but I my dad was in the army, so we used to travel a lot. I've been in very different cities throughout my growing up years and got to play a lot of local games. I loved Kabaddi and I love Kho-Kho as well, so these two. I don't get to play these games as often now.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.